Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking about you and your business. Got Sissy Lappin here on the studio here on the air. My goodness, I'm just struggling here with my brain. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm ready for the weekend. I'm ready to, crunch down on candy canes and all the other fun part of the holiday season. But right now, I'm looking forward to spending time with Sissy Lappin with Lappin Properties. And you can go to her website, Lappin, Lappin, properties.com. But she's also a prestige properties editor at usdailyreview.com, the national news website that's growing every single day in prominence with over 500,000 hits. usdailyreview.com. Put in Sissy Lappin. You'll find her there, too. Sissy, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Good morning and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Merry everything to you guys.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. And Sissy's also extremely fluent on what's going on in the macro economy and the business front. So she always likes to talk about those things as well as what's happening in the real estate front. What do you got for us today?
Well, let's talk about the Feds and kind of their announcement about the tapering and how that's going to affect the housing market and interest rates. And, because of what the stock market did yesterday. And basically, they said they were going to taper, but I kind of laugh. It's like having a glass of water and saying you're going to take one little drop out of it. It really was not tapering, or it's so minor that it's hard to even call it tapering. And I think the interesting thing is going to be when you do see the tapering really start to happen is how much money you're going to see leave the stock market and how interest rate sensitive is this real estate market. In Houston, we are kind of an insulated different market, or let's say Texas in general. So it's really going to be the rest of the country that, is what you're really going to watch. And Kevin and I read an interesting thing this morning that I didn't realize, and this is why, it's so important to read outside of Texas, is that up till this year that the amount of houses have recouped now 44% of the value they lost in 2007, 2008. I would have thought that number would have been higher.
Me too.
In Houston, I was shocked to see that it was only 44%. Where in Houston, we've actually had an increase in value. So like I said, what's going on here is not what's going on in the rest of the country.
And they're saying we have essentially a shortage right now of houses.
We do. We do have a shortage because we have so many people moving into Houston. The one thing I do think is very different from this housing market than, let's say, the last two bubbles that we've had is buyers are very educated. We are going through a technology boom in the real estate market, and buyers are as educated about pricing as their real estate agents. So you don't see that 20% overpaying. You don't see the craziness because, as I like to call it, we've gone from an inefficient to an efficient market. It's a very trackable market in pricing. And with that, I just don't think we're going to have a crash. What goes up always comes down, but I don't think we're ever going to see it going down like we did the 2007, 2008 rates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And it kind of makes you think that huge demand increase we've been talking about the last couple of years is a little bit softer than people thought when you consider it's only a 50% retention or regaining of that value. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I still, I'm glad to see Dodd-Frank January 10th has a whole new set of rules and the ratios. Your debt ratio has to be, I think it's a 3% change they're doing in it. And I like seeing this because, it kind of makes me laugh. Larry Yin, or Lawrence Yin, who's the economist for the National Association of Realtors that, keep in mind, has never seen the housing bubble coming, said, this is bad because there's so much pent-up demand. Well, I almost think that's a laughable statement because pent-up demand to me is if you can't afford something and and so therefore you can't buy it. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's no pent-up demand. You either can afford the house or you can't afford the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Absolutely. So, what do you think? So the market, I'm looking at it even as we speak. It still continues to stay low and still continues to seem to be frightened, if you will, by the news that's taking place. And I agree with you. This tapering's laughable. It's so little, a drop of water out of a huge glass. But you and I both know that the markets don't operate on reason. If they did, it would be crashing and burning because of how low the interest rates were, because they don't have any sense when you compare it to reality. When you have the government, what is it? What are they buying? $80 billion of bonds monthly? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think what you're seeing in the market, and I'm by no means an economist. I just am a big reader and kind of go on. What kind of guides me is I sit back and say, how will people react to this? And in the market, I think what you're seeing is, I think it's, the individuals' money getting in the market. They feel like, they've missed this rally. So I think you're seeing a lot of that. The real question is going to be is when they really do start the tapering, that's when you're going to see I think the more well-read, more savvy investor get out of this market. And unfortunately, it's the little guy that always gets hurt in these things, and it's the guy that's gone into the market, let's say in the last year, because he didn't want to miss the rally, or the guy that went in yesterday because he doesn't want to miss the rally. These are the guys that get hurt in all of this. But you can't outsmart the Feds, and when they start tapering, I think you're going to see a lot of money leave this market. I haven't talked to one person that said, boy, I'm staying in the market when the Feds start tapering.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Not out there.
Sissy Lappin, she's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. You can find her over at usdailyreview.com. That's usdailyreview.com. She does a fantastic job bringing those information and insights, not only on a micro level of cool places to look for homes here in the Houston areas, but conversations like this, giving us a real healthy macro overview of what's happening. You also can find her at Lappin Properties, Lappin Properties.com. Any final thoughts before I let you go, Sissy?
Thank you so much. The last thing I want to say is also the other thing that kind of I think is a bit alarming is, these companies have all learned to do more with less. And when I say do more with less, they've learned to do, to increase their profits with less employees. And the unemployment rate is just not, going where it should be in this country.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And to me, there's a lot of red flags. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors when they talk about recovery. Thanks so much, Sissy, for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
As always, a fantastic job. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. And you're listening to The Price of Business.